Welcome to the latest episode of KapVista Klips. Today we are here with Adam from Sherlok. How are you?
Good, thanks, mate. Great to be here.
Yeah, awesome. So we're going to dive straight in, and I want to know about you. Tell me about who you are, your background, your experience, how you got to this point before starting Sherlok.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was previously a mortgage broker for about 12 years. So started as a mortgage broker in the Australian marketplace, helping customers just get a home loan or refinance their existing loans. And went from a solo broker to building a successful broking business, won a bunch of awards on that journey, which is really exciting. Best, top 30 brokers in Australia, best broker in South Australia. And during that journey, I think one of the interesting insights that I got was that as mortgages became digital through that time, so it was kind of 2007 when I started, and over the next 12 years, there was this shift from paper applications to digital applications. I realized that there's more data and more information that lenders are requiring of customers, and brokers would help facilitate that information. But there was no improvement in the time, like the approval times or how long it took to actually get a home loan. And that was really interesting. So we're asking for, out of any profession, mortgage brokers or lenders had to ask for the richest data set, down to even what assets you have, what car, what year, what make, how much it's worth. And then all of that was consumed and used by the lender, but there was no efficiency gain across the customer, the broker, and the lender. And it still took 30 days or 45 days to go through the home loan process, which just blew my mind that they're asking for more data, more information, but no one had solved the problem of how can we speed up a home loan, across that value chain. And that was a really interesting learning. It was a frustration point for customers, really frustrating that it took so long. It was a significant hurdle for customers to refinance or to think about getting a home loan. It was a pain point for brokers, and the way brokers were sort of managing that were they were just going to a cheaper cost base. So they just started outsourcing. Instead of having onshore teams, they just started to build up these large offshore teams, which were pretty much just doing data entry and very basic tasks. And then there's really been no evolution. No one's sort of come out and gone, well, this is what a home loan should look like based off of new technology and AI. And we just saw this opportunity open where, the truth is, like, why can't you just do a home loan within 10 minutes and it settles same day? I mean, the technology is now there. It's possible. And so in my learning as a mortgage broker, it was just this little thing that just niggled at me time and time again is, why is this process so complex? Why are we asking for the customers for so much information, but nothing's quicker? What can we do about this? And that's pretty much how the journey started with Sherlok.
Okay, awesome. So you found a problem that, everybody that owns a home and has gotten a mortgage has experienced. Mortgage brokers experience it on a daily level. How did it go from the problem to, okay, I'm going to build a solution, and then what does the solution look like?
Yeah, so I think I've always had a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit. So if I see a problem and it doesn't make sense, and I'm like, oh, look, I think we can fix this. I've had that, and I've run several businesses before. So my previous business, which was mortgage broking, we also did financial planning and accounting. And through all of that, it was like, okay, well, there's a problem here. It doesn't make sense. I reckon we can fix it. So the first thing I did was, let's have a look across the industry, talk to other brokers. It was the same common pain point across every single broker. We're providing the lenders with more information. It's all static data, static documentation, paper documentation in most cases, and nothing's improved. So why can't we just do a digital home loan? Why can't there be someone that comes out and automates this whole process and takes the approach of how can we automate this for customer, broker, and lender across those three key stakeholders? And so that's really where the concept came about. It went from an idea to a bit of to an ideation to a cheap and nasty MVP, and then building out from that to our first product in market, and then to where Sherlok and our hero product now, Instant Apply, is in market. And I think during that time, there was a really interesting learning. We came about when open banking here in Australia was just starting to They were starting to build the framework about that. It wasn't yet live. Open banking is the ability for customers to share their data with whoever they want. So it really unlocks the value of customer data. We happened to be the first platform in Australia to give open banking to mortgage brokers, which was really good. That came with a heap of learnings. We're at the bleeding edge of that technology. So it was there was a lot of learnings. There's a lot of IP we've built up, and there was a lot of pain we experienced. But it's matured to a point that we're at this really interesting inflection point where technology capability, artificial intelligence, and also the ecosystem demand for just digital, no double data entry, auto credit decisioning, instant home loans. There's a huge tailwind that's happening in the industry, and there's a huge driver for that. So at this really interesting inflection point where there'll be a new category that's created, which essentially this is the new way you do digital home loans. And I think whoever wins that category will have 70% market share of that industry. So that's really what we're striving for. That's how the journey started with Sherlok. We sort of identified that opportunity, realized it wasn't unique to me. It was across the market, across the 22,000 brokers in Australia, and actually thought, well, I think we can solve this. I think logically, I understand the process. We just need to pair up with someone who can build technology. I've got a very deep insight in the mortgage broker and the lending space and the customer, having been a broker for so long. So kind of really knew how to position it with the brokers and what we needed to do and how we needed to build the product out.
Yeah. So then what is the lender's engagement in this? I mean, obviously you're making their job easier. What is their engagement?
Yeah, if you think about it, what we're really trying to do is we're trying to actually, I'll take a step backwards. One of the things we've realized early on is that it's such an old ecosystem, and the infrastructure that it's built on, in some cases is 20, 30 years old. And it's actually not just embedded, it's actually like sewn into the ecosystem. So we've decided to take the approach where you just can't break the ecosystem. What you need to do is you need to actually work within the existing ecosystem and then make everything quicker for all the key stakeholders. So if you imagine what we're doing is we're just making, on the customer side, we're making data, the customer being able to provide the information the mortgage broker or the lender needs. We're just making that seamless, and we're making it so that they can share their trusted data sources, their open banking, their credit files, all of the information that goes into an application. So rather than a client entering data or taking a photo of payslips and sending it through to their broker and downloading bank statements, we're getting them to connect data. And if you imagine it, that same data set is then being provided and automating the broker's process. So we're using that same trusted source data from the customer, that the broker then uses that, and we then present that to the broker in a UI that we've automated majority of the broker's tasks. It's already categorized. We've already looked at living expenses. We've already run the credit checks, where we've actually automated a lot of what the broker or their teams would do. So the broker can just have an advice conversation with the customer. Then from the lender side, what's really interesting and that no one's doing, that we're focusing on, is again on that same data set. Once the broker's had a customer with the client, when the broker searches the products in the market to start looking at different options, which lender they should recommend to the customer, we're allowing lenders to actually credit decision based on that data before they've even received the loan application. So this doesn't exist at the moment. So if you imagine it, the current process is the lender has to sit there and wait for the application. It goes into their systems. Then it takes them anywhere from 2 to 7 business days to pick that application up, verify and check the data, and then actually make a decision on it. So that there's a lot of time and wastage in there. What we're doing is we're saying, well, when the broker's searching the products, if you've got the trusted verified data, why can't a lender just auto decision on that? Why can't a lender just go, actually, you're my target market, based on all the rules that are built within Sherlok or within their own systems, you're a target market. We really want you. We know that the best interest rate in market's 6.5 at the moment. We're going to give you 6.4 to win the business. We're going to give you special dynamic pricing, which is all automated by our platform. And then we've actually decisioned this deal. So if you submit this client to us, it's already approved. It'll go through a fast track and go straight through to settlements.
Wow. Okay. Now, this is not just an Australian problem. This is a global, most Western markets, so that like the UK, Canada, New Zealand, the US would be facing a similar sort of issue. So this platform is highly scalable.
Absolutely, yeah. So the problem still exists in those other markets. We are just focusing on Australia first as our home
Yep.
sort of home base. So then we can expand it. It's a really good market, Australia, to test and learn. And the real estate market here, the home lending market, is a very strong market. So if you think about it, I mean, in the Australian marketplace, brokers write almost 80% of every single home loan. So it's predominantly broker market. You go to the UK, you're talking about 90% of brokers write the home loans over there. Much bigger market as well. So
Mm.
going to the UK, I think it's about 90,000 brokers are in the UK. There's about 22,000 brokers in Australia. Obviously, New Zealand, very easy to replicate in New Zealand as well.
Yeah.
Canada's quite similar, and then looking at the US as well. The US, we've in our initial investigation, it's not just one market; it's lots of markets. So
Mm.
we do see that at some stage, not immediately, but at some stage, we'll be looking at those markets. And
Yep.
again, we're building a platform. So the only thing that really changes are the data sources that the customer connects, and then the
Yep.
lenders we're working with. And that's all using the same platform, the same infrastructure. So we don't need to go through a significant rebuild at all to deploy in those new markets.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So tell us about the milestones you've achieved.
Yeah, so our milestones, obviously, we've got a product in market, we're generating revenue, which is really good. We've got early product market fit, and now we're moving into scale up phase. So what we're looking at from our product is we've actually got two products in market, and we did that strategically because we almost needed to wait a little bit for open banking to mature, that it would
Yep.
be in a position that we could actually start to scale it, because again, we were at the bleeding edge a couple of years ago with it, and it wasn't quite ready to do what we wanted to. So what we did at that point in time is we focused on helping brokers with their existing clients. So we've got a repricing and retention tool for brokers that helps us help brokers retain their clients, so brokers aren't losing clients. And what those clients do for that broker is they actually start connecting those data sources. So we're building up essentially a credit picture of those customers. We've hit $60 billion of loans that we manage for brokers across Australia now. So that's quite a big number. We've got a strategic partnership with AFG, so Australian Finance Group. They're an ASX listed Australian company. So we've got a formal relationship with them, and we're onboarding their brokers. And we've got a very deep integration to collect all the data and to push data into their systems. We've got our first lender as well, who signed up to instant apply our digital mortgage. So from that aspect, we're hitting the milestones as we go. It's not without challenges, as every startup goes through, but
Yeah.
we've got a pretty amazing team. We're very privileged on the tech side, on our sales and marketing side. And I should probably also point out that our growth to date has just been word of mouth. So we haven't actually invested in marketing. We haven't invested in sales and onboarding. We're really looking at, part of our next phase of growth is how can we now take our business to the point where we will get 70% of market within Australia and actually look at those overseas markets, getting ready for our Series A for then, okay, let's start going into those new markets and really making this a global platform for digital mortgages.
Yep. Okay. So then tell us about the capital raise. How much you're raising and what's the use of funds for?
Yeah, so we're raising up to 2 mil. Up to 2 mil is what we're looking to raise. The use of funds, really, our new product, which is Instant Apply, we've now deployed in market. We've got our first lender signed up. It's still in the early stages, so we've had some fantastic feedback from brokers, which has been really good. And Instant Apply is that 10-minute home loan. So it is that 10-minute digital home loan. So it's continually to invest in that technology, building out that product listing to brokers, and then actually starting to invest in the sales support and onboarding team, so we can start to drive the revenue. We're very focused on still keeping the team quite small and lean. It allows us not to put in too many layers of management, and we're conscious that we still want to push for that product-led growth. So the sales and support is going to be supporting and driving more enterprise agreements, but we do want that product-led growth where brokers can sign up. they get value straight away, and then they'll refer to other brokers. And that typically is how the mortgage broking industry works. When they like something, they put it on their chats, their forums, and it starts to spread and grow really quickly. So the sales and marketing, investing in that, making sure that we can actually get the reach out there, we can start onboarding those brokers. The tech development, there's likely to be a couple more hires as well within our dev team. But again, we really want to try and keep it lean and responsible from a capital deployment perspective, making sure that once we listen to the brokers, we don't get too big too quickly from a team perspective. Revenue is now no longer linked to the size of your team. So yes, we want to grow revenue as fast as we can, but we don't need to put as many bums on seats as we used to, and we're quite conscious of that. And then all of that is really linked to how can we actually grow our ARR to $3, $4, $5 million over the next couple of years?
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. All right. Well, I'm not going to take too much more of your time. Thank you very much for jumping on. I think what you've built and what's in market is certainly needed. Anybody who's gone through the mortgage process will know that it's a lengthy process. So if you're offering something different to the market, and now that you're in market with brokers and you have a lender offering 10-minute mortgages, I think this is going to take off like wildfire, because what's the options? Here's something in 10 minutes. Here's something in 45 days. Which one are you going to go for? And the lenders who get on early are going to see a lot of business come through.
Absolutely. So, I mean, the lenders,
yeah. From a growth point of view, you're at the bottom of the hockey stick. Like, yes, you've got revenue and you're growing, but it's about to take off, and that's the exciting part. And it's in a space that is ripe for disruption, because it is very manual, and bringing technology into the mix is only going to increase the size of the pool, the size of the pie, and then with that global aspect, this has the potential to be a huge opportunity. So thanks for jumping on, Adam. It's great to chat to you. If anybody who's watching this episode wants to find out more, please reach out to my team. We can connect you through to Adam.
Thanks, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.